Said you didn't think you were good enough for her, is that true? You're friends, right?
Oh, sure, yeah. But I've always had kind of a natural insecurity anyway, so I would probably say the same thing about any woman.
What really happened between Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie? The Hollywood whirlwind that captivated the world seemed unstoppable. Two bold, edgy personalities who shared blood vials and public declarations of love. But just as suddenly as it began, it ended in silence. Now, 2 decades later, Billy Bob Thornton is finally opening up about the real reason behind their shocking divorce. Was it infidelity, fame, or something far more personal? This isn't just another celebrity breakup story. This is a deep dive into one of the most explosive romances Hollywood has ever seen. Stay with us, because by the end, you may see their relationship and its dramatic collapse in a whole new light. Before we explore Billy Bob and Angelina's story, we need to understand the man behind the headlines. Billy Bob Thornton's journey to stardom is a story of grit, resilience, and raw ambition. Born in 1955 in Hot Springs, Arkansas, Billy Bob grew up in a shack without plumbing or electricity. He battled dyslexia and bounced between small towns, raised by a schoolteacher father and a mother who claimed to be psychic. His early years were marked by academic struggles, but sports gave him an outlet, especially baseball. He even tried out for the Kansas City Royals, only to be cut due to injury. Disheartened, but not defeated, he worked odd jobs, laying asphalt, telemarketing, even farming offshore oil rigs, until a life-changing encounter with legendary director Billy Wilder in Los Angeles pointed him toward screenwriting. It wasn't an overnight success, but when it came, it changed everything. Billy Bob's gritty film Sling Blade earned him an Oscar and put him on the map, not just as an actor, but as a creative force to be reckoned with. Thornton had finally arrived, but Hollywood success came with a cost. His personal life would soon be under the same harsh spotlight. Billy Bob Thornton's romantic history is as eventful as his acting career. Having been married 5 times before meeting Jolie, Thornton's love life was constantly under public scrutiny. His first marriage to Melissa Lee Gatlin ended after just 2 years, marred by claims of infidelity. Their daughter Amanda was largely raised without him, and years later, her life took a tragic turn when she was convicted in a child death case, later overturned with the help of the Innocence Project. Thornton's next marriages to actresses Toni Lawrence and Cinda Williams were brief and emotionally distant, with Cinda later admitting they were better off as friends. Then came model Pietra Dawn Cherniak, a marriage that began with love and ended in allegations of abuse and restraining orders. Claims Thornton adamantly denied, but which stained his public image. Each of these relationships left a mark, teaching Thornton hard lessons about commitment, incompatibility, and public exposure. By the time he met Angelina Jolie, he was already a man seasoned and scarred by love. And yet, this new relationship would be unlike anything he'd ever experienced. When Billy Bob Thornton met Angelina Jolie on the set of the 1999 film Pushing Tin, he was engaged to actress Laura Dern. Jolie had just ended her marriage to Johnny Lee Miller. But what followed wasn't just your typical on-set romance. It was a lightning bolt. The chemistry between them was so intense, so immediate, that Thornton abruptly ended his engagement to Dern without warning. As Laura later revealed, she left town to film a project and returned to find her fiancé married to someone else. In May 2000, Billy Bob and Angelina tied the knot in a surprise Las Vegas ceremony, shocking the media and their inner circles. Unlike the grand Hollywood-style weddings their fame might have invited, their ceremony was low-key and unpretentious. But what they lacked in tradition, they made up for in pure intensity. Almost overnight, they became the couple everyone couldn't stop watching, and for good reason. Their eccentric displays of affection weren't just tabloid fodder. They were a constant performance, a show of unfiltered passion that both fascinated and unsettled the public. Billy Bob and Angelina quickly became infamous for their strange and wildly passionate relationship. From wearing vials of each other's blood to installing a padded room in their home where they could release overwhelming emotions, their love story blurred the line between romance and obsession. In interviews, they didn't hold back. At the 2000 premiere of Gone in 60 Seconds, they publicly gushed about being intimate in the car ride over. They were unpredictable, raw, and totally unconcerned with how Hollywood expected its power couples to behave. Thornton, who admitted to working drunk on Bad Santa, and Jolie, who was known for her rebellious streak, fed off each other's chaotic energy. It wasn't an act, it was real. But that intensity, as thrilling as it was, would eventually burn too hot. Behind the scenes, cracks were beginning to show. While they put on a united, passionate front for the cameras, their personal lives were starting to pull them in very different directions, and the deeper their connection grew, the more it seemed to unravel at the seams. The signs of strain became public in 2002. That year, Angelina Jolie announced plans to adopt a Cambodian child named Maddox. The world expected Billy Bob to be involved in the adoption, but he wasn't. Jolie made it clear she would be adopting alone. Around the same time, rumors swirled about Thornton seeking therapy and even sleeping with his therapist. Neither he nor Jolie ever confirmed the infidelity allegations, but the rumors only deepened the divide. Their once unbreakable bond seemed fractured. Jolie later admitted that she and Thornton were growing in different directions and no longer had anything in common. Their lives, their ambitions, and even their personalities had changed. Jolie was pursuing global activism and humanitarian causes, constantly in the spotlight, while Thornton wanted to retreat from it all. By the summer of 2002, they quietly divorced. There was no explosive fight, no tabloid scandal to mark the end, just silence. A passionate flame that had once burned too brightly had finally extinguished itself. Years after the divorce, both Thornton and Jolie began reflecting on what really caused their marriage to collapse. In a 2004 Vogue interview, Jolie explained that they had simply grown apart. She described it as sudden, as if one day they just looked at each other and had nothing to say. It was a jarring emotional shift, especially considering how intense their bond had once been. Jolie's transformation into a global humanitarian only intensified the divide between them. Thornton, meanwhile, was more introspective. In a 2003 interview with Entertainment Weekly, he likened their breakup to being caught in a sudden, chaotic disaster. He couldn't explain it, only that it felt like something irreversible happened overnight. By 2016, in a GQ interview, he revealed the deeper truth. He never felt good enough for Jolie. He admitted he was uncomfortable in her world of red carpets, diplomacy, and fame. Thornton wasn't just mismatched with Jolie, he was overwhelmed by her world. Their breakup wasn't about betrayal or drama. It was about two people who loved each other but simply lived on different planets. Despite the end of their marriage, Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie managed something few high-profile couples ever do, maintaining a genuine, enduring respect for one another. Long after the divorce papers were signed, they didn't hurl insults or trade blows in the tabloids. Instead, they spoke fondly of one another in interviews, sharing reflections that revealed how deeply they had once connected. In 2012, Jolie wrote the foreword to Thornton's memoir, The Billy Bob Tapes, A Cave Full of Ghosts, a move that caught many by surprise. In her writing, she described Thornton not just as a former spouse, but as a complex, brilliant man whose mind never stops turning. She talked about his battles with agoraphobia and mental health and praised his creativity and vulnerability. It was a touching, humanizing portrait of a man often misunderstood by the public. Thornton, in turn, has never allowed any bitterness to shape how he talks about Jolie. In various interviews, including a 2016 GQ feature, he admitted that they still speak from time to time and that he still holds her in high regard. He even went so far as to say that she remains one of the few people who ever truly understood him. Their ability to separate with grace and warmth is a rare feat in Hollywood, where breakups usually lead to media meltdowns. And it wasn't performative. There were no joint red carpets or PR stunts, just honest, distant affection. Their continued support for each other, even as they moved on with their lives, illustrates that not every love story has to end with a happy ending to be meaningful. Sometimes, the most powerful relationships are the ones that leave behind mutual respect, not regret. In stark contrast to his volatile past relationships, Billy Bob Thornton's life with Connie Angland has been defined by quiet stability, emotional safety, and mutual understanding. Their love story began in the shadows of Hollywood, rather than under its blinding lights. The two met in 2002 on the set of Bad Santa during one of the most turbulent periods of Thornton's personal life. But instead of rushing into another high-profile romance, they took things slowly. They dated for over 12 years, an eternity by celebrity standards, before finally marrying in 2014. The wedding was no spectacle. It was held in their own backyard with no paparazzi, no press releases, and no elaborate designer gowns. For Thornton, who had once made headlines for drinking on set and public outbursts of passion, this quiet, almost anonymous ceremony marked a personal turning point. It wasn't about proving anything to the world. It was about honoring a bond that had grown steadily over more than a decade. Their daughter Bella, born in 2004, played a central role in that decision. Thornton has shared in interviews that Bella began asking why her parents weren't married, and that simple question nudged them toward the altar. Their home life is modest, even charmingly ordinary. Thornton often says he prefers watching baseball, recording music in their in-house studio, or listening to Taylor Swift with Bella to attending glamorous events. Connie, too, prefers privacy and comfort over the spotlight, despite having worked on major films like Planet of the Apes. Their shared love for simplicity and solitude has become the foundation of a marriage that, unlike his previous ones, thrives in quiet. For Thornton, this relationship isn't about intense flames. It's about a steady fire that never burns out. Looking back, Billy Bob Thornton's romantic history reveals a pattern, one shaped by emotional volatility, creative intensity, and unresolved wounds. Before his sixth and current marriage to Connie Angland, each previous relationship served as a reflection of where he was in life, searching, evolving, and often lost in the chaos of fame. What set his relationship with Jolie apart wasn't just the media attention or the strange public behavior. It was the deep emotional vulnerability he rarely allowed the world to see. Unlike his earlier marriages, Jolie brought out both the best and worst in Thornton. Their time together exposed his deepest insecurities and forced him to confront his discomfort with the public stage. Where others saw red carpets and glamour, Thornton saw pressure, judgment, and discomfort. Jolie's world was global, powerful, and fast-paced. Thornton, by contrast, was a man who still carried the weight of his Arkansas upbringing and personal demons. He didn't want the noise. He wanted connection. But he also didn't know how to survive in a relationship where he constantly felt like an outsider. His admission that he never felt good enough wasn't just about status. It was about identity. And perhaps, in the end, that's what truly drove them apart. Today, Billy Bob Thornton lives a drastically different life than the one he shared with Angelina Jolie. Gone are the blood vials, red carpet confessions, and chaotic declarations of love. In their place is a quiet, intentional existence with Connie Angland and their daughter, Bella. Thornton has said time and again that this relationship is different, and it shows. They've crafted a life that revolves around family, creativity, and peace. Angland, who once worked behind the scenes in Hollywood, is more than comfortable out of the spotlight. She compliments Thornton in a way that's rooted in understanding, not performance. Their decision to marry was prompted not by passion or pressure, but by their daughter's innocent curiosity about why her parents weren't married. It was a sweet, almost poetic reason to make the union official, because their child wanted it. That decision, small and grounded, speaks volumes about how far Thornton has come. The man who once crashed into relationships with reckless speed now chooses stability. And while his wild past remains part of his story, it's no longer what defines him. What defines him now is growth, and the understanding that real love often means choosing simplicity over spectacle. One of the most poignant aspects of Billy Bob Thornton's story is his willingness to reflect on his mistakes, not just as a husband, but as a person navigating fame. In several interviews over the years, he has openly acknowledged how fame distorted his sense of self and affected his relationships. He confessed that, in the height of his career, he was often emotionally unavailable, caught between creative obsession and personal insecurity. This kind of raw self-awareness is rare, especially in an industry that thrives on image control. His honesty about battling agoraphobia and mental health issues offers an important counter-narrative to the usual celebrity glamour. Thornton isn't just another actor who burned through marriages. He's a man who's battled inner chaos, learned from it, and grown because of it. His journey from reckless passion to deliberate peace is the kind of arc that resonates deeply, not because it's perfect, but because it's human. In a culture quick to label and dismiss, Billy Bob's willingness to own his flaws makes his evolution all the more authentic. He's not chasing approval, he's choosing alignment with the life that truly fits him. What's even more compelling is how Billy Bob and Angelina Jolie, despite their breakup, have shown that relationships can evolve into something meaningful even after the romance ends. While many celebrity divorces devolve into lawsuits, bitterness, and tabloid warfare, theirs transformed into mutual admiration. Jolie's praise for Thornton in his memoir wasn't just nostalgic, it was protective. She acknowledged his quirks, his struggles, and still honored him for who he was. Thornton, too, has never spoken ill of her. He continues to describe her as a wonderful person, and even says they still talk now and then. This level of grace post-divorce is extraordinary. It suggests that while they couldn't survive as husband and wife, they still cared deeply for each other as people. Their story is a rare reminder that failed relationships don't have to be failures. Sometimes, the healthiest thing two people can do is part ways and continue supporting each other from afar. In an industry known for explosive breakups, theirs remains one of the most quietly respectful ones on record. As fans, we often romanticize celebrity couples, projecting fairy tale expectations onto real people with complicated lives. The story of Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie defies that fantasy. It's a tale of two passionate, creative, imperfect people who collided at the wrong time. Their love was real, intense, chaotic, and deeply felt, but it was also unsustainable, and that's okay. Sometimes, the relationships that shake us the most are the ones that don't last. They teach us, they change us, they prepare us for what comes next. For Jolie, that meant stepping into motherhood, humanitarianism, and later another high-profile marriage. For Thornton, it meant confronting his emotional triggers, embracing fatherhood again, and finally creating a quiet life with someone who truly gets him. Their past together was anything but ordinary, and that's what makes it unforgettable. It's a reminder that love doesn't always follow the rules, and that healing often begins when we stop chasing the fire and start appreciating the warmth. Their story, with all its madness and meaning, still leaves us with one powerful question. Can you truly love someone and still walk away? The answer is both simple and profound. They were two people chasing love but living in different worlds. She thrived in the spotlight, while he ran from it. She sought global change. He sought peace and quiet. Their romance, as electrifying as it was, simply wasn't sustainable. But instead of ending in flames, their story ended in respect, a rare outcome in Hollywood. Today, they've both moved on, but never speak ill of each other. If anything, their story reminds us that love isn't always about forever. Sometimes it's about impact. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you believe love is about finding the perfect match, or is it more about timing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories that dig beneath the surface. Thanks for watching. Until next time.